Hi friends and followers, and welcome to my informative video from your very own Nadlan in Miami real estate team here in South Florida. In the last few years, I have focused on investment properties and multifamily properties here in South Florida. These properties generated nice cap rates, and the lower mortgage rates led to a nice positive cash flow. Following the rise in interest rates in the past couple months and the rise in insurance policies in the US, I have been looking for alternative options for my investors and clients that are always looking for the next best investment. I have found new projects in pre-construction in the hottest areas and developing areas surrounding them. Miami is expanding rapidly with thousands of people moving here on a daily basis from all over, hence the rapid building of pre-construction. There are three measures to take into account when looking for the next project. First, find an interesting and good quality project in a fair price with a business plan of how to make money out of it. Second, that the project has full scale of professional team behind it, such as developer, architect, and so on. Three, find a new project before it hits the market and while prices are still as low as possible. Once the popularity of the certain pre-construction rises, then the prices soar and we don't want to pay for the same product more. To receive further information on pre-construction, we are now going to interview one of the most prestigious architects of South Florida, Kobi Karp. Last year I organized a real estate event and he was one of the public speakers, and throughout his speech he piqued everyone's interest. Thank you, Kobi, so much for having us today. Can you tell the audience, to the people who still don't know you, what project have you worked on?
So I have been in Miami since 1988, so I've had the pleasure of working on a number of projects. But I came here in 1988 from Minneapolis, Minnesota, specifically to join a British firm that was building all-inclusive resorts and hotels in the Caribbean. We call it the British West Indies, St. Lucia, Grenada, Turks and Caicos, Bahamas. And then I started to work here in Miami in the 90s in historic preservation and restoration of the buildings in Miami Beach. We call them here the MIMO district and the historic district of South Beach. You call it in Tel Aviv, you call it Ha'ir HaLevana, the White City. But it's the same sort of typology and DNA of architecture that was done in the 20s, 30s, and 40s in the United States of America, with inspiration not only of Mediterranean revival, but of streamlined architecture as well. And also I'm referring back to the Bauhaus architecture, right, to the Art Deco designs. And that's really what started our projects here in Miami, and slowly grew as financing became available. We do lifestyle luxury, whether it's Four Seasons in Surfside and Four Seasons in Fort Lauderdale, or the One Hotel, or the Hyatt in Miami Beach, or that's what we do.
Okay, in Miami, from Miami in the south to Fort Lauderdale, I see they're building so many pre-construction new projects. Do you think there is enough demand for that, or they building too many?
So look, I've been here since the late 80s, and the people who came with me, it was Miami Vice and Scarface days, were individuals who ran away, for example, from Havana, Cuba, by boat and got out of jail, and they had no money, and many of them had no education, and quite a few of them were criminals. Today, the population that comes here is a bit more educated, a bit more sophisticated culture that is desiring to make an environment and a lifestyle for them in perpetuity in the Great Florida, meaning it's the only state in the United States of America in the lower 48 that has subtropical weather. So the quality of life here is quite good from an environmental and sustainable standpoint. Better and stronger than ever before, and it still continues, as the United States Census shows, of about 1% growth on an annual basis, which is 10% every decade. Regretfully, we never had the resources to produce enough widgets on an annual basis. So we always had a shortfall. And that's why there was always more demand than there was supply. Of course, now with COVID, with breakdown of supply chains and inflation, of course, we have more of a demand than a supply. But eventually that supply will start to quench the demand. But ultimately, we will continue to have demand based on the United States public record and census. The population around the world, whether it's Far East China or the Middle East or India, Africa, the population will start to stabilize and compress like it has in Japan and or Scandinavia or Eastern Europe or Western Europe, right? The population has stabilized. That will continue. People will say, where should I live in a good quality of life? Hong Kong is a great place to live, so is Malaysia, so is Indonesia. But if you have the opportunity to live in the United States of America and only subtropical weather, it's Florida, you know, so it's like Southeast China, it's like Vietnam and Cambodia from a weather climate standpoint.
Also, people often ask me about hurricane and flood in Miami. As an architect, do you think there is a reason to be worried?
Look, to be worried, you can be worried. A lot of people like to worry.
Yeah.
It doesn't do anything to worry. I don't like to worry. I like to find solutions to problems. And I'll be specific to you. 1992, we had Hurricane Andrew here, which just blew through the city. And the reason was because we didn't have the code and the infrastructure set up for hurricane impact. The buildings were not designed with clips on the roof. They weren't designed to take the impact to the structure, and they certainly weren't designed on hurricane impact doors and windows, which today we have.
Yeah.
More so than ever before. And you can see today when a hurricane blows through, and if your structure meets the code and the infrastructure as we have laid it, you will sustain yourself. And furthermore, with the technology and the knowledge that we have today, more so than ever before, solar panels are implemented on the roofs of our homes and structures to low voltage battery packs that we put in the garage, and backup generators are electric motors like a Tesla. And for $30,000, $50,000, $70,000, we can roll it into your home mortgage. So it becomes a more financially stable solution, which the payback is quick, because otherwise you're paying here in South Florida, Florida Power and Light, electricity is about 20 to 30% of your monthly bills. We do have the responsibility for future generations to eliminate the carbon footprint, but we can't do it unilaterally in the United States of America. It's done internationally.
Now you lived here for many years and you know all the cities and the area. What do you think is the next spot to invest in today?
I think the next spot is really everywhere in Florida that we can, because Florida is defined by the Gulf on the west and the Atlantic on the east, and it has a little land that connects you then to the rest of the United States of America. But the reality is that Florida in many locations is quite good. I see today progress in communities being more developed in North Miami Beach, closer to train tracks and stations along Miami Gardens, Miami Springs, Hialeah. Look at Doral, brand new, west side of the airport. And that's what I like about Florida in a nice way. So I am optimistic about the direction of growth, real estate growth, and sustainability and resiliency in this community.
Yeah, great. Can you describe us, how do you see Miami in about 10 years from now?
I think 10 years from now, it's going to be a better quality of life, a more sustainable, a more resilient, a more efficient. I think that technology is going to continue to catch up and give us a better quality of life. Overall, we will be the only subtropical weather climate state in the lower 48, which will set us apart. And I grew up in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I said to myself, I'd rather be, because everybody said, Kobi, you're never going to make any money in architecture. I don't know why you're studying it. Go be a doctor, go be a lawyer. But I studied architecture, and I happened to be at the right place at the right time. But ultimately, I said to my friends, I would rather be a bum and sleep on the streets in Miami than sleep on the streets in Minneapolis, especially in the winter.
Nice. Okay, Kobi, thank you so much for having us.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for coming over. I hope you come by more often.
I will. Thank you.
Kobi Karp is indeed a great success story, and I have respect for him. Driving on Biscayne Boulevard, the main street of Miami, and seeing most of the new construction projects with his name on it is indeed amazing. Pre-construction projects are definitely a great way to invest while going through this high inflation. Once you close on a price, the developer must deliver the project at the same price that he promised you, while prices are still rising for others. If you are interested in more information or would like to start investing in the next best thing, let me know. I'll get back to you with all the information. Thank you, friends. If you enjoyed the video, please do me a favor, share the video with your friends. And thank you so much. I will see you in my next videos. Stay safe.